日本ではこう小学校に上がる前、例えば保育園とか幼稚園から小学校に上がるときに、小1の壁っていうね、言葉があったりします。学校に行く前までは割とこう自由にのびのびと遊ぶことが許されていたんだけれども、学校に行くことになったら、授業にこうずっとね、集中して座ってなければいけない。で、例えばそういうことがあったときに、子どもたちがこう我慢しきれずに歩き回ってしまったりするとき、それに対してどんなふうに、ね、デンマークでは行っているのか、そういったことが質問だったんですけれども。
We have a grade in elementary school before the first grade. So below grade 1, when you're 6 years old, you can start in they call it the 0th grade, or this is the proper term, børnehave class. So that's kindergarten class. So that's kind of transitional year between kindergarten and regular proper school. Make the children accustomed to a school setting, and this is some of what this is here for. So it's kind of a more playful. It's not like real school, but they're starting to introduce the idea of going to school and doing subjects and having lessons.
そうこの0年生っていうのは、0年生とか、この特別な子どもたちだけが0年生に行って1年生に行くのかっていうとどうですか？
This is the regular thing to do. And actually you can also repeat that first year if they're not yet ready to go to school, but that's very uncommon. It's only 3% of the children who actually do this 0th grade twice. This is like a schematic of the Danish educational system. It goes all the way from preschool here at børnehave class. We're talking about this 0th grade, and then 9 years in regular elementary school, and you have the 10th grade if you want to just stay 1 year longer and prepare yourself for the next step, which would be here senior high school or vocational education. What is the atmosphere in the classroom in most Japanese schools and most classes? Are the children expected to be quiet and sit in their desk and focus, listen to the teacher and not interrupt? Is that kind of the standard, the expectation?
もうまさに今マスがイメージしている日本のスタイルもそのままだと思います。今でも多くの先生は変えようとしてるけれども、多くの場合さっきの小1の壁って言葉が出てるのは本当に学校に行ったら座ってなければいけないっていうことが今でも現実だからだと思います。マスの
The level of expectation in Japan, in Japanese society and in Japanese schools is more disciplined and more strict than in Denmark. But it's very interesting how it actually works in Japan to ask 30 children to more or less do the same thing at the same time. So now you're supposed to listen to me, the teacher. Now it's time to prepare for the break and you should wash your hands. It's kind of, it's more disciplined, not in a negative way necessarily, but it's more disciplined than in Denmark. In Denmark, it's the way that you behave also in the school setting is more relaxed than that and more individually as high as in Japan. So I think it's easier for them to adapt to a Danish school setting because it's still relatively free. And by free, I mean that the children are supposed to learn to be better at focusing and not interrupting too much, but we're not extremely strict about it in school. When you're in front of a class and you're having a lesson, you're constantly going to get interrupted somehow by some of the pupils in the classroom. Not all of it is like negatively disrupting. It could be just questions or they're doing something, talking to their to some of the other children, or they're kind of standing up, or they're moving around, or something, there'll be some kind of disturbance and something that makes it a little more difficult for everyone to focus. And that's something you have to deal with all the time. You as the teacher, you're trying to explain something, or you're telling something, you're saying something, and you're constantly receiving questions or little interruptions. And I think we value that kind of active engagement from the pupils in the class. We value that higher than being able to stay quiet and just not interrupt. So I think that's why it's a positive thing to us to kind of have an interaction. I really admire the teachers that I see, that I observe, because they have an extreme patience with the whole situation. What most good teachers do is that they remain calm, even though they're getting interrupted all the time. They just stay calm, and they try to present the lecture or the point that they're trying to make in the class. Just, go through the thing, run through their whatever it is they're teaching to the class, and they're taking some of the questions, but they're not being derailed. So you have to just, keep your focus as a teacher and select which questions you want to interact in, have a conversation about. And some of them, when you get interrupted, you will, and this is where the social skills come in, or the social educator side of it, being a teacher. This is where you have to decide, when do I ask the pupil to, stop it, or be more quiet, not interrupt, because this is not productive, and which children do I interact with because it's fruitful, it's actually making the learning process better for everyone and more entertaining, more interesting. And I've seen teachers that I would regard as good teachers. I've seen them master situations like a good parent, where you can you can stay calm, but also show that there's a limit. Here's something that is not acceptable. Like you can. The children know your reaction pattern, and they know when they overstep a line and when they get too disruptive, do interrupt too much, or do something that is not okay, like disturb the others or whatever. And I've also seen teachers in situations where they it's too much, and you can tell that this kind of behavior from this pupil is beyond what I can control, and this is something we need to handle somehow. But for now, for this situation, I'm just going to let it happen over there, and try to not let him or her interrupt too much. But it's not something I can actually stop. So I'm going to deal with that later, and with the parents and the whole system. But for now, I'm just going to try to remain as calm as I can and try to teach those who actually listen to me.
そしたら質問なんですけど、そうするとすごく先生の裁量によってここまでは OK だけど、ここからはダメだなっていうのが先生によってすごく幅があるようにも感じるんですけれども、なんかガイドライン、行動のガイドラインとかそういうことは決まってますか？
I think that's a no, except for policies on anti-bullying and anti-violence. That's not acceptable. But other than that, it's very much up to interpersonal relations, like with anyone in a society. A teacher is a person, and an adult, and the pupils are children, obviously. So this is like an adult, a professional adult, but also a person who should show some of the same capabilities that a parent has. So that's the whole social side of being a teacher, that you have to show your personality, in the sense that you have limits to what you accept as a person. Some remarks and some things that the pupils will say to you you should show them this is not acceptable. Or if they say something to each other that is disrespectful, you should also show them this is not okay. This is not showing respect. This is something we have to work on as a group to get better at.